So these are the 5 pillars of the Stoic morning routine that I've implemented into my life for the last 14 days, and here are the results. So a couple of days ago, I really got into Stoicism, and just out of pure curiosity, I did some extensive deep research about what potentially Marcus Aurelius' morning's routine would look like. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ivan, and in this channel, I go through my self-improvement journey and guide you along the way. So the very first pillar of the Stoic morning routine is waking up early. I have a lot of trouble waking up early in the morning, and it seems that I'm not the only one, because Marcus in the book 5 of Meditations reminds himself of the difficulty we all face when waking up early. And he writes himself saying, "Don't you see the plants, the birds, the ants, the spiders and bees going to do their individual task, putting the world in order as best they can, and you're not willing to do your job as a human being?" And as he points out, everything in nature is doing what they were born to do. They were doing what they are supposed to do in order to keep the balance in this world. But he asked this question to shame himself by saying, is this what you were created for? Were you created to lay on your bed warm and not do anything with your life 24/7? Probably not. Probably not. That's not the point of your life. Probably you were not born for this. And ever since I started implementing this method into my life and waking up early, I have found some changes. By implementing this pillar into my life every single morning, I have found out that I have a more positive view on life. Just because I feel like I have more control over everything that is happening. Because before doing this, I would just wake up just in time so that I wouldn't be late for work, I wouldn't be late to school. It's a very powerful feeling when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is something for yourself, instead of just rushing to be on some place that you need to be, like you're being forced to, and you just start your day with this negative feeling of, oh, I need to be on this place, I don't really want to be here. So it gives you power over your entire day. And alongside that, I've also been feeling very mindful and very present on the activities that I'm doing on my everyday basis. But that really has to do with the next pillar that we're going to talk about, which is starting your morning with stillness. I feel like many of us are bombarded with information 24/7. And before you click off this video, because I'm stating the obvious, let me ask you a question. How many times have you checked your phone whilst you were watching this video? Well, like 2 minutes in, something like that. How many times did you check it? Exactly, you don't even know. And for those remaining who still have some decent amount of attention span, we need to realize that we are being blinded from the most beautiful things in the world. Maybe it's the smallest things that never get noticed. It's like the sun ray that is coming down from your window and is laying on the floor of your ground. Maybe it's the water falling down because of the rain, or it's the flower who's moving just because of the wind that is blowing on it. And as Marcus Aurelius says, whether it's making time to be active, making time to go for a long walk in the nature, we have to make time for stillness. And the best way I have found to implement this pillar of Stoicism into my morning routine is just to go for morning walks with no phone, no music, no podcast, just looking for stillness in nature. And this also complements the advice that Dr. Andrew Huberman gives, which is just looking straight into... No, not looking straight into the sun. Just looking at the nature when you wake up in the morning so that you see sunlight and your body will regulate your entire just circadian rhythm so that when it's time for you to go to sleep, your body will regulate itself and you'll go to sleep more easily. And when it's time to be active, when you see the sun in the nature, your body will react to it and give you more energy so that you feel just more alive in a sense, and you'll have more energy in order to do the tasks that you're meant to do in that day. And ever since I started doing this, I feel like my attention span and my ability to focus on what I'm performing, the task that I'm doing at hand, has been increased by 110%. Because I feel present in every single thing that I do in the morning. And the next thing that I would do after this is what Marcus Aurelius calls the negative visualization. Keep death and exile before your eyes each day, along with everything that seems terrible. By doing so, you never have a base thought, nor will you have excessive desire. So what I will basically do is just to sit down in the same chair that you see me sitting on right now, and just close my eyes and visualize about what things could go wrong in this day, okay? Maybe it's a family member dying. Maybe it's them getting ill. Maybe it's me myself getting hit by a car whilst I'm going to work. The reason why Marcus does this is just to be prepared for the worst, okay? You need to realize that you cannot control things that are going to happen in your life. Your family member, they are gonna die. We all are gonna die. This is something that we cannot control. And we need to be prepared for that. We need to visualize these things on our eyes before they happen so that we can be mentally prepared for them. So that's one of the reasons why we do the memento mori and the negative visualization, just to be prepared for the thing that will eventually happen. Because if we take advice from Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will eventually go wrong. Stoicism teaches us that we don't need to worry about things that are not on our control, but there are things that are. And maybe if I'm visualizing about myself going down on a crosswalk and looking at both sides before I cross, I can avoid getting hit by a car. And if you go on life just not looking whenever you walk on and just saying, oh, if it must happen, it will happen, like, let me say, you're not being stoic, you're being stupid. Like, if there's a way for you to avoid that tragedy, why don't you do it? It's inside of your control. You can go onto life and look at both sides before you cross and see if there's any cars. And if there's not any cars, you can cross. But don't go into life just not looking around and getting hit by a car and saying, oh, it's just a stoicism. It must really happen, it will happen. No, in some things, you really have control over it. And alongside that, another one of the benefits that I have found from doing this negative visualization is just that I am even more grateful for the things that I have. Because as humans, we are very, very strange. We appreciate more the things when we lose them rather than we have them in the moment. So just being grateful for things and being mindful of things that we have and the luck that we have to have them is just an emotion that will make you happy at the end of the day. And the way that I've been recording down my negative visualizations is using my Stoic journal. This is a Notion template that I have built myself in order to keep track of the habits that I want to build throughout my life, and also just journal down the things that have happened in my life as a Stoic. So if you're interested, it's in the first link in the description. And that will drive us to the next pillar, which is starting your day with some kind of discomfort. After doing my negative visualizations, I would do something that would shock my body and something that I do not really enjoy. At first, the first thing that I thought about was starting my days with some kind of workout. But that didn't work out really well because when I tend to train lifting, and I'm not the biggest guy as you can see, but when I lift, I want to make my body just sore and tight. I want to break down my muscles so that they grow bigger. But by doing this first thing in the morning, I will get very tired and I will go through my entire day just feeling groggy and just wanting to go to sleep. So that was not the best option for me. So alternatively, what I decided to do is just to go and take a cold, icy shower first thing in the morning after doing my visualizations and my walks. And it also just gives you the satisfaction of conquering something that you didn't want to really do first thing in the morning. And as we have learned in this channel before, the more things you do that are challenging, the more things that you do that you don't really want to do, the bigger your anterior mid-cingulate cortex will grow. And what is this thing called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex? It's the AMC, which will shorten, and is the disciplined muscle. Well, it's not a muscle, it's a brain structure that is associated with the discipline that you're able to have in your body as a person. So the bigger your AMC is, the harder the things that you're capable of doing. And after coming out of the shower, this is the next pillar of the Stoicism morning routine that I will implement into my life. And it's called remembering about your potential. Socrates says, it is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength which his body is capable of. This I attributed to the time we need to dedicate ourselves in our daily routines in order to know what we are capable of. Because a lot of us really think that we are not capable of doing some things in life. And this reminds me of one of my biggest goals that I had as a kid, and it was to become a great student. Like, if I'm being honest, I wasn't a very good student in school. I was like a 5 or 6 out of 10 student. And one of my biggest dreams was to get good grades and be on the top list of my school. But that was not something that really happened because I dropped out at 18 years old, my very first year of university. But then at 20 years old, I felt that this couldn't happen. So that I got back into university, I got into a more difficult grade, which was computer engineering. And this is when I just said to myself, okay, I need to make this happen. I need to fulfill this dream that I had as a kid. I cannot go on life just thinking that I am some kind of brain dead and I can't study anymore. So that's what I did. And I became one of the top performers in my class just because I had this mindset that I could do it. I had the possibility of becoming this person. And this is what Marcus Aurelius has to say about it. Constantly think of the universe as one living creature, embracing one being and soul. How all is absorbed into this one consciousness, how a single impulse governs all its actions, how all things collaborate in all that happens, the very web and mesh of it all. We need to realize that the universe is some kind of energy that will reward the ones who give the most. The more we give into the universe, the more that we give into this world, the more that we'll receive. The moment when you change your perspective from what can I get out of this to how can I add more value into the world, this is when your life will turn to a completely new way. This is when things will go right in your life. And if you're not taking full advantage of all the things that we're giving to you, of all the opportunities that you have right now, that literally people in the third world countries would die for, you are being unfair to the world. And if we are talking in terms of stoicism, this becomes an ethical question. And being the firstborn child of an immigrant couple, I have also realized this about remembering your potential. And a lot of you who are immigrants will know this as well. They are not sacrificing all of this time, all of this effort, and all of this hard work just for their children, just to waste it all because they didn't feel like it, just because they didn't want to do it, just because they were lazy. So just be grateful and take a look at your life and see it as an opportunity for you to become the best version and the greatest version of yourself. Stay patient because your prophecy is unfolding.